Get ready to learn. Yeah. Okay. And then forward, backwards.
Thank you.
Okay.
So welcome everybody. My name is Filipa and I'm going to teach you our first learning unit, that is Pandas 101. So where is Pandas? Can be also that cute little thing, but Pandas is actually a library in Python that will allow you to do a lot of stuff with data, load data, manipulate data, transform data, and it's going to be your best friend for this bootcamp, but also your best friend for the next couple of months and probably the rest of your life. So in this small learning unit, this is a small overview. We're going to start importing pandas, knowing what is a series and what is a data frame, some functions to preview a data frame, retrieving information from the data frame, and also how to read and write data using pandas. So first things, so importing pandas. So it's a library in Python, so you do what you usually do. You just call import pandas as PD. So it's not required that you use PD, but it's standard, so you should use it. Then series and data frame. So pandas has these two data structures, series and data frames. So a series is like an array of data where all of the elements must be of the same type. And a data frame is a tubular structure that may contain one or more series. So you can just think of it like a table, like the table is a data frame, and then the columns are the series. So how do you create a series? So it's very easy. You just name what you want to name your series, then equals PD that you imported. It's pandas, pd.series, then parentheses, and then inside you put a list of the stuff that you want to put in your series. So in this case, you use int objects. You can see that. When you print it, you get this D type, and that's the type of the series. So pandas is smart enough to understand what is the data type that you use. You can also use it, make a series with strings, for example. It's exactly the same thing, and you can see that in this series you get the D type object. Object is like a data type that points to every data type. So, for example, if you create a series with a mixed data type, you have int, you have floats, you have strings. The D type is object.
Sorry.
Yes.
In the beginning, that's something I don't understand about pandas. In the beginning, you said the series are supposed to be an array of elements of the same kind.
Yes.
But here you have like integers, floating point numbers, and a string.
Yeah. When you use like the bunch of different data types, pandas points that this data type is object. It's like an abstract data type. It points. If you use a lot of different floats, things like this example, pandas is going to see the data types, and he put the data type of that series an object.
So the data type is the same for every element, but the element itself
can be different.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so series has a property that is called D-type that lets you know what is the D-type of the series. So it's very easy. You just put the name of the series dot D-type, and then you get the type of your series. So series also work with indexing. So these numbers that you see, 0, 1, 2, 3, are the index of the series. So index 0 is Google, index 1 is Microsoft. And this is the standard indexing. You can also say what kind of index you want. So for example, in this case, you create a series and you put data. In the data, you put the elements that you want your series to have. And then you can also use a parameter called index, where you put a list of what you want your index to be. So in this example, Larry as the index Google and Bill as the index Microsoft. So you can also create a series based with a dictionary. So it's very easy. You just have a dictionary that you created, and then to pass from the dictionary to series, you just call PD series, and then in parentheses, you just call the variable of your dictionary.
Sorry, is this
Yes.
the equivalent of using the index parameter?
Yeah, when you use a dictionary, the keys would going to be your index. Yeah. So series has a lot of properties also. So if you call series.values, you just get an array with the data of your series. And if you want to get an array with the name of the index, you just put series.index and you get an array with information about the index. So in this new version of Pandas, they implement two new properties. So, for example, just to give you context, so when you do values, we create an array, but sometimes you create a Pandas array, and other times you create an NumPy array. You never know which one you created. So to end this ambiguity, they created these two methods. So if you put series.array, you clearly create a Pandas array. But if you do series2_NumPy, you create a NumPy array. So just a detail, but they advise to start using these methods instead of the dot values. So data frames. To create a data frame, it's also very easy. You just do pd.dataframe, and then you do parentheses, you do square brackets, and inside you're going to put a list of the elements that you want your data frame to have. And in this case, you can have, you can use different types of data. So if you want to define your column name and your row names inside the data frame, you can also specify it. So you use columns to define the column names, and you use index to define the row names. You can also create a data frame based with a dictionary. So it's exactly the same thing. You just have a dictionary, and you just do pd.dataframe and then the name of your series. Also, if you want to create a data frame and you have like 3 series independent of each other, and you want to form a data frame based with that series, for example, you have founder names, you have founder surnames, and you have company. If you want to put this information into a data frame, you just create 2 series. So you create a series using the founder's names and the founder's surnames, and you will use the company to be the index of your both series. So when you create the data frame based with that series, you're just going to have the data frame with the same index. So if you want to use 2 series to create a data frame, they both must match the index. So going on, so the same way in the series you could get to know the index, information about index. So in the data frame, so you just put dataframe.index and you get information about the index of the data frame. Also for columns, you just get an index with the name of your columns, and then you can also use D types, and with data frames, with D types you get what data type of each series is. So going on, previewing a data frame. So with data frames, when you are working, you don't want to see all of your data, or you just want to see like the first line or the first top the top 5 entries. So data frames as these properties, add and tail. So if you, like we have this data frame, df8. So if you want to see the top 2 entries, you just use data frame dot add, and then you can specify how much lines you want to see. And the same way, you can put detail and you specify how much lines you want to see from the bottom. Yeah, it can be useful sometimes. So to retrieve some information about the data set, the data frame, sorry, you have shape. So if you use data frame dot shape, you get a tuple with the number of rows and with the number of columns. You can also use info. With info, you can get several information about the data. So you get how many entries you have, how many columns you have, the name of each column, how much non-null objects you have. So that's a lot of information. And if your data frame has numerical data, if you use describe, you get information about the mean, the standard deviation, the mean value, the max value, and the percentiles. So finishing,